Yeah. So as we check in today, whatever questions you have about the coming up months and homework and um and how you're doing, just a general like life check-in. It sounds like it looks like it might be a smaller group, so we can take some time, but if we get done early, there's no need to belabor things. But I'm just really grateful you're here and thanks for showing up. So let's get into it. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Hi, everybody. Everything's going good. It's a big power month of work this month, but it's all kind of settled in, so it's not overwhelming in a sense. Um, and let's see, I think I've pulled together what my workshop's going to be after a lot of thought and confusion and too much stuff. I think I've pulled it apart where I know what I'm going to be doing. So, and I think this next class that we have, we do. What is it that we do? We present like 30 minutes of what we're going to be teaching in the workshop. Is that what the process is
For Sunday.
for Sunday for the
Yeah.
workshop, the hour thing that we're going to be
Yeah,
doing?
I don't think it's quite the full hour. I'm not sure exactly what Amber has you doing. Can anybody else confirm
20 minutes, she said.
it's 20 minutes? Okay, cool.
And what is it? It's just the breakdown of what it is that we're supposed to do?
Well, I think it's called workshop practice. So I'd say, yeah, I would be pretty well prepared to be able to present a 20-minute chunk of your workshop.
Okay,
Yeah.
kind of what I
But
thought. Like,
yeah, it's also, I mean, I think that that's the expectation, but because it's kind of hard if you don't do enough prep work and you go in there and, I'd love to say, oh, just show up and work on what you need. But honestly, that time is for feedback. So if you're not prepared to a certain point, it's not going to have enough shape to it to give feedback. And this is pretty much the last time you're going to get that feedback before it's time to, send this, make this thing sing.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. My son is coming to visit. I'm so excited. I'm so
Oh,
excited. My baby. Ah. So he was going to come for like 4 days. And I'm like, that's great. And he goes, well, Mom, maybe a week. I said, whatever you can handle, And he goes, well, maybe 2 weeks. I'm like, holy cow. All right. So I'm going to try to get him into a yoga class, have him come to Cambio, because he's the one that says, Mom, it's a cult. I'm like, Evan, stop, stop. So we got to make that shift,
especially Cambio, right?
especially Cambio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about digging into the philosophy and the whole, origins of everything and the inner thing. So
Where's he coming from?
West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, cool. When is he coming?
He's coming on the 4th, I think Monday.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm so excited.
So you're feeling good. Otherwise, I mean, looking forward, you have a big weekend. You've got that practice teach out for the um workshop, 20-minute
That's
sec.
all, well, that, and then there's teaching the intermediate sequence, and then there's teaching the beginner sequence.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing meditation for the sadhana. And I
Oh,
thought maybe I would also try to just shoot in the pranayama. So that's kind of wrapped up. But with all this other stuff, maybe I'll just stick with the meditation and focus on the other stuff. Yeah.
yeah. What a load this weekend you all have. Wow. Maybe that's where everybody is today. I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They're all working on it. They're all practicing it right now, right? Um, uh, and then of course there's the sutras and then Pradipika. So what did she
Right.
like a real yoga month?
So that's a good point on the sutras. It's so when I was looking at that, you go back to like the the workshop, the worksheet, or whatever it's called. And we look at that and we just read it and read the sutras and just kind of ingest the information for knowledge building.
So I'm not sure what you mean by worksheet, but there's a study guide, right?
Study.
Yeah, in the back of the book here,
Yeah.
page 238.
Yeah.
And coming up, you all have tracks 4 and 5. So yeah, you just read through it and ingest it. You're not, you
Okay.
know, we'll break them down and talk about them just how we've always done. So it's not necessarily like, don't stress it in terms of like you need to come in and understand it, because you're not going to probably
Right.
anyway. So
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
I would say familiarize yourself with them enough to like read through them once and then just make a mental note of the ones that seem to like stand out to you with either questions or resonance, and just
okay.
ready to, you know, kind of learn about what seemed to confuse you and dig into the depths of what seemed to speak to you.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
And then, oh geez, there's something else you brought up that I was going to say. Oh, and then the Pradipika is also another one that it's like, don't overthink reading that, because there's, you know, there's there's a couple different versions here. Like, you know, there's this version and then there's this version.
That's the one
So
I've got.
yeah, so if you don't get through all 600 pages of this,
We're supposed to read the whole thing?
yeah, yeah, but don't stress it, is what I'm trying to tell you. Do not stress it whatsoever.
Okay.
Just just start living with it a little bit. Here's what I would suggest is read a page a day or something. You know, just really start dedicating yourself to say, in the next months, if next 9 months or year, I'm going to finish this book. It will be fine what we work on and work off of on that Saturday morning if you have not read it, but I want you to at least familiarize yourself with, you know, what the flavor of it is, and the intro is really important. I would definitely read the intro, whatever version you have, to at least get some social, political, and historical context of, you know, where it comes from, why it's different than the sutras, why it matters, how it plugs into modern yoga, all these kinds of things. Because it is, I would say, most of what we've been doing this entire 300 hour is more derived from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika or Hatha Yoga practices, maybe not particularly that book, but like a conglomerate of Hatha Yoga than even Patanjali Yoga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you actually know more about it than you think you do, if that makes sense. You just don't know that you know.
Okay.
Yeah. You've all been doing it. Yes. Thank you, Stephanie. Are you anything else? Can I add something
Yeah.
to your check-in and just say congratulations on now becoming a new intern? That's so
So,
exciting.
so on that, so we see all of these needing a sub. Interns are able to sub.
Yeah.
That's correct, right?
Well, it depends on the class. You have to,
Okay. Has to
yeah.
be the,
Vinyasa or Empower.
uh-huh.
I believe that's, unless you've had, well, you did the yin training, but
Yes.
have you followed up and done all of the, unless you've not done all the homework, then you should be cleared to do yin as long as you've done, you know,
I've
Aaron.
done I've done the books. I've read all the books. I've done the classes. And so that's
Yeah,
what
then I would have no problem with you subbing a yin class too then.
okay.
Yep.
And we don't need a partner with that. We just go in and do it. Is that correct?
For yin?
For all of our stuff that's
Oh,
not
yeah,
that
yeah, 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 exactly. So yeah, when you go sub, it's just yeah, you're out on the high wire net. There's no
all
safety.
right.
It's just
And
you.
we can do any sequence. Or do
Uh,
we
I
ambient?
would know. I would definitely the first several months of your teaching stick with really close to the cambio sequence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that if you teach an Empower class, just focus a little bit more on core, a little bit more maybe on longer holds, and a little bit more on, so in longer holds in intense postures, a little bit more core, maybe longer core, maybe include one or two more exercises for core, and emphasis on anywhere you can get more effort, more tapas building in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I
But you
understand
don't
that.
have to overthink it. It's not, doesn't have to be a radical shift from vinyasa to empower. Just
Okay.
that subtle, intentional shift towards being more tapas focused without having to be as flowy as a vinyasa class might be.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, a
You
little
still
more,
want to flow, don't get me wrong. It's still vinyasa, still technically power vinyasa, but yeah, let me know if you have more questions about that. If this, I feel like maybe I brought up more questions about the difference between vinyasa and power in some of y'all's minds, but we can talk about that later.
but after taking Power Vin, I see what it is,
Yeah.
hearing you like reaffirm all that. And one more thing, reached out to Cole on Comeback Yoga.
Mm,
So I've observed Janine's class and Gina's class. And
yeah.
I have two more that I'm going to do because my son was a Marine and my dad was a Marine, Iwo Jima, Saipan. So there's been PTSD as a heavy element in my family.
Yeah.
And I thought this would be something that I would really like to do. So,
Oh, nice. I love that for you. And
yeah,
Steph, I gotta just say, your work ethic, you're so dedicated, and I just appreciate it so darn much. So
thank you.
I see it. You are a hard worker.
I know it's a curse and a blessing.
It certainly is. Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Who would like to go next, please?
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. So yeah, I'm doing really good. I've been doing a lot of things, and not just yoga things, but just a lot of things in my life. And yeah, I'm finding it, like, it was interesting when we were talking about next month and everything for teacher training. I've been doing so much teaching yoga, right? So teaching all these, subbing a lot of classes and doing all things, that in my brain, I feel like I've been doing stuff for teacher training. And in the reality, I'm like, oh, I haven't dedicated as much time to the actual teacher training stuff, like the workshop, even though it is formulated in my mind, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have this, I have these pieces and these elements. I just haven't synthesized everything together. And I know I have time to do that. It's just kind of something I was realizing. I was like, just because I'm teaching yoga classes doesn't mean I'm doing the yoga homework. And it's not the same thing. Um,
That's
and
a good realization. You're not the first
yeah.
person to have had that happen.
Yeah, and so I've always been, like, I have always struggled with balance in my life in general. And the more of an adult I get, the harder I find that I struggle with that. And for me, it's easy to just add more to my life. I've just been continuously adding more, and it was kind of funny after the Shanti um workshops and everything. I got so inspired that I just wanted to, like, do all these things and, like, figure out my whole life, and which is good, but also I think I have to take a little bit of a step back and, like, to do the things that I'm doing now and not worry so much about, like, just, I don't know, figuring out how I'm going to learn Portuguese right now. And, like, there's just things in my life that are going on that I'm like, oh, I want to do that, and I want to be better at art, and I want to, there's a lot of things. And so finding balance is just my, always that, like, thing that I feel like I get away from, and now I'm like, okay. And the workshop wise, I think there's not really any questions. I'm trying to find sutras that, because my workshop is basically about, I wanted to talk about competition. And And especially because I'm coming from a really competitive, like, figure skating background. And so I'm looking for sutras that are not necessarily telling me that specific thing, but just have stuff that relates to the ideas that surround competition. And I actually think by like thinking about this whole thing and like my relationship to yoga, my perspective has shifted a little bit about how I feel about competition in general. So it'll be interesting to synthesize all that and to get it into a workshop and deliver it to people in a way that makes sense and have, I think Amber was talking about having like really, really good questions. And so I just need to spend a little more time thinking about what those would be and getting it together. And then also the activities and how we're going to all, how it's all going to work out. But I mean, I feel confident that I will be able to do everything. I just know myself, and I know I've put myself in a lot of different places, and I care a lot about everything. And so it's always really hard when you're like, I think everything's equal, but I know it's not really. It's like, I know there's things that are more important and less. It's just hard for me in the moment to be like, to like decide that, because I love the things that I do, and I'm really lucky and to have that. But I have noticed that with teacher training, because I've just been doing all this yoga teaching, that I'm like, the training is working and I'm doing it, and I am, but it's also like I do want to get a little bit more disciplined about my homework and all the other things.
I love it. I love it, Reba. You're in such a great place with it.
Yeah.
Can I ask just quickly about, can you tell me a little bit more about, in regards to your workshop, what about competition that you would like to explore?
So my like background, right, is I was a competitive person, and not my personality, but like I grew up in an environment where competition was seen as like the highest like ideal, almost like the most important thing you could be doing. And I do see a lot of positives about it. But as time went on and like I kind of got away from a lot of really toxic parts about that and started doing yoga, um, I've I've had the question in my mind of like, how does competition and yoga, like, can those two things be, can you do both of those things? Can you be a yogi and be someone who's really competitive? And so and I think there's a lot of avenues to explore there that I find really fascinating, because I think a lot about the people who maybe are parents or are in competition themselves when they come into yoga, and they're either like thinking of yoga as a competition or utilizing yoga to be better at the sports or the things that they're doing in a competitive way. And um I think it would be super interesting to explore, like, can you practice yoga and do all the things in yoga and still be really, really competitive, and like have your other goal being maybe to win, being like, if that's competitive, right? In this,
Yeah.
and I would do some stuff with the defining what competitive even means and like how we see it in our society today. And then like maybe exploring things like, there is things like competitive yoga. So there are definitely people who out there who are
Mhm.
are having those two things coexist at the same time. And how do they do that? And um when you look at things like the sutras and like the philosophy behind yoga, can those things be like, can they really exist side by side? And my like and part of it is like finding the answer for myself,
Yeah.
and then also partially like bringing in the ethics of how we like teach people to live in society and where there is a lot of competition. And I've grown up with so many things that I've had to let go of now.
Mm-hmm.
And also that like thing that I'm like, if I was the parent to myself as a kid, how and then like could teach myself these things, what would I have found really important that might have helped me like navigate some things that like at the time ended up being really traumatic, but had led me that's what led me to yoga, I think. So I just think there's like so many things I could explore. So utilizing the sutras, utilizing philosophy, talking about the idea of competition in our society, and then like I don't want to necessarily give an answer, but I think it just would be really interesting to come away with different concepts of like how we approach these things that are outside of yoga,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So yeah, lots of whittling down, lots of great
Yeah.
ideas there. I'm really glad you talked about defining what competition is, because as you're talking about this, I'm realizing I'm like, well, competition is really kind of it's not necessarily outcome based, where like, there's components of competition like achievement and success, but also failure. So like if we are, and we are, I mean, the answer to your question is yes, we can practice yoga and be competitive because we all are. What I'm thinking is what you'll soon find out is the next level of depth of this thinking will lead you to, so how does yoga help us stay a certain way when we're succeeding through competition and achieving? And how does it also help us when we're failing through
Yeah.
competition and
Oh, I
losing?
love that. Oh,
Yeah. And so think about what your students, what you ultimately, so I love how it's personally derived. It's like derived from your journey. And I definitely encourage you to share that and keep that in there. But I think you'll definitely feel like you're getting to the other side of like the idea of this and getting a focus on it when you realize what the specific thing that you want the students to get from it is. And I can't tell you that, but I think
yeah.
you're on the road to that. But I will
Yeah.
say too that, the first thing that popped up to my mind, the Bhagavad Gita is all about competition, right? It's all about this war. So that might be a resource to access too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's so many things that we've touched on that work really well. And it's like, I don't necessarily want everyone to leave and be like, I'm pulling my kid out of soccer and, and like, we're never going to do anything. So
No,
but
I think
finding like, it's not necessarily about it being
I
good
don't
or
think that's what
bad.
yoga says, right? Yoga doesn't
Yeah.
say don't have desires. It says it's yeah, I think that idea of like, sure, how do we practice in the process of competition, but also how do we use yoga when the competition is over and we're either the winner or the loser,
Mm.
and how do we deal with that on a spiritual level? What does yoga say? Yeah,
Yeah.
about that. That's good. Those are good questions.
I'm
I have a,
excited.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I want you to discover them on your
Yeah.
own. So let me
Yeah.
know if you need any guidance along the way.
Yeah. I don't think I otherwise have any big questions. I think Stephanie kind of answered a lot of the ones that I had. So yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yay. Okay. Well, awesome. Thanks, Reba. So glad you're here. I love that sweater, by the way. I love those colors. Yellow, red, and black are such great colors together. Ari or Anna, who would like to go next?
Hello. Yeah, I feel pretty good overall. I've been doing a lot of the sadhana and just working on my sequence, like my intermediate sequence. So thinking about how I want to incorporate the pose into that. There's so many different ways. So I'm just like, which one will I choose? I'm like, well, I could do it like this way, or like I did it kind of in my sadhana when I taught asana for that. I like did one and I was like, that was pretty good. I could just do that again and like really perfect it. Or like I took a class and then they did Warrior 3 in a different way. And I was like, oh, I actually kind of like that. Maybe I could steal that from that person. So trying to think of my intermediate sequence. But yeah, it's all coming together for my workshop. like Reba said, I felt like I was like, oh, I'm doing so much yoga, or I'm doing this and that, like that I'm doing the homework, you know. And then I was like, I guess I didn't realize we were teaching 20 minutes this time. I thought we were teaching it next time for some reason. I don't know where that got lost in translation. So yeah, I'll be fine though. It'll be okay. I'll get it all together. We're traveling to New York and we're driving this week. So I'll be there.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And we were in Strawberry Park last weekend. So for my birthday. So yeah, it's just been a lot of like travel and like very like fast and furious with everything. But the workshop will work itself out. I have like a good like layout for what I want to do. I just haven't, like Reba was saying, kind of like pulled all the pieces together into something like super cohesive yet. But I think I can do it. I already read the sutras like before. I just did them in other months, but I'll touch base on them again to just get a refresh.
Yeah, and again, I hope it's coming through for all of you. Don't stress the readings as much as, yes, I'd love for you to do the readings, but if it's going to be one or the other, focus on your classes, focus on your teaching, focus on your workshop, and the reading will get done, and we'll cover things in a way that um we'll either answer questions or provide more questions about it. So you'll eventually get the reading done. What is your workshop on, Ari?
I forgot the exact title. It sounded very good when I have the exact title. But it's just like using like a toolkit for parents for de-stressing.
Oh, okay.
And it's something like a coping toolkit for parents, something like this.
So is it like while they're in relationship with the kids, or like,
Both.
okay, cool.
So like how can we, when we're with our kids and we're feeling kind of overwhelmed or our kids are feeling overwhelmed, what are things that we can do in the moment together? What are things we could do when we only have a few moments to ourselves? Like, oh, you only have 5 minutes, to yourself. You could do something in that time. Or, if like you're feeling dysregulated, your kid's feeling dysregulated, like I don't know. I can't even think of an example, but something crazy happens. Like it always happens with kids.
Yeah. So what do you do, right?
Yeah, like how do you
Oh.
like regulate and how can you help the kids regulate?
Mm.
So I've done some things in my job with parents and kids already. So I was gonna pull like some yoga strategies in, but pull just like some grounding techniques or like mindfulness, kind of like calm down activities for kids. The parents can do with their kids too. So it'll have kind of like two parts to it. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
these are things you can do. Like, okay, you have 5 minutes, or you wake up in the morning and you're feeling really stressed, or you're feeling, you could do this breath work. It could take 5 minutes, or you feel like crazy, hectic energy, like all over the place, and you can't get things done. You could do like more of like a balancing breath work. So just giving different strategies for that. And
Um,
yeah.
so I love all these creative ideas and I love how they're personal. And you and Reba both have a lot of experience outside of yoga to bring into this. For both of you, or maybe all of you, I would just say, remember that at the end of the day, the class should still feel like a yoga workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just make sure there's still a heavy emphasis on that, because sometimes people the intention of yoga is like the door opening into the other thing, and then the other thing becomes the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, so just trying to pull that all together. That will be the challenge.
And just all while traveling all over the place
I
all
know.
time.
I
You
know.
too. You too.
I
Just a couple
know.
of fluttering birds all over the place.
I
Just
know. I'm like, and then in September, we're going to Vegas for Jordan's birthday. in
You look excited
October,
about it.
we're going to Dallas. No, it'll be cool because we're going to the Sphere, if you've heard of the Sphere.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
Who's playing?
we're going to see this thing called Unity. It's like a
Oh,
Tomorrowland,
yeah, I've heard of that.
like a
Cool.
Tomorrowland kind of thing.
That'd be
Yeah, we're
rad.
gonna go meet his uncle and cousin.
Wow,
So
you got
we'll
talk
have the
about
fam.
living the dream. Good stuff.
I know. I said to someone, I was like, it's a full-time job.
Well, get it out while you can, you know? May not always have the
Travel is a
opportunity.
full-time job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I'll do some deep diving into how I can tie it all in.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Awesome. Well, I love the smile that all this living brings to your face. It's definitely it's definitely a joy for all of us to share. So thank you. Thanks, Ari.
Yeah.
Last but not least.
Hello. I'm doing good. I don't know. I don't have as much to say as the others, it seems. I feel like I'm pretty solid in my workshop. It's um kind of coming along pretty smoothly. I think the hardest part is just to like you were saying, really connect it back to being just a yoga workshop. Because there's so much that I want to bring into it, but
Mhm.
I feel like it would take, if I tried bringing everything in, it would take away from the experience. So I'm trying to just like get rid of the fluff
Mm.
and yeah, just kind of consolidate.
Nice. What's your workshop on?
It's about like grounding in nature for indoorsy people. I have really bad allergies. So
Uh-huh.
like I have a plant by my desk. There's lots of like tactile stuff that I love, like I like a natural paper. So I'm trying to bring in elements of like what can you do if you're sitting in an office all day and you're
Yeah.
like just nature is calling you, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So and then I want to do some like focus on the root chakra for grounding.
Love
So
that.
yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Oh, good. Yeah. You know, for that, I think that it's interesting that all the modern ways that people are bringing outdoors indoors, right? And all the studies that are done on how even a picture of a waterfall, even if it's not a real, you have a picture of a tree and it has a psychological effect, even if it's not a
Hmm.
real tree, right? So all these, what are they called? Biophila environments, they're calling them. So like Google Workplace has a lot of like indoor water features and things like that that they realize is enhancing moods for employees. So yeah, I think the root chakra is a perfect connecting point to bring those concepts into the yoga, and a really nice starting point, just going back to your matrix from the 200-hour manual, looking at the asanas, looking at the breath work, and then deep diving in down that road to like get some ideas of like what what can be practiced, what can be done outside of just curating an environment. And yeah, that's I think you're right. You don't have much to say because you're pretty close with that. That sounds like a great workshop.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
hope it is.
Can I just throw out what my idea for my workshop is, since it seems like there's a good
You
brainstorming going
can, yeah,
here?
let's just finish with Anna real quick
Oh,
because
I'm sorry, I thought you.
yeah, I just want to make sure we're complete. Anything else on your end, Anna, for today?
I, I think I'm fine.
Okay, well then I have one more thing for you. I also want to give you congratulations for your
Thank you.
commencement on internship as well, my dear.
Thank
So
you.
happy to have you be part of the team.
Thanks. I just subbed on Thursday. Was it? Yeah, Thursday, right before I got my new car. And it was crazy because I was subbing for a sub, and
Uh,
so I didn't know that I was coming in until that day. And so I was like a little scattered, but people were really nice. I love Cambio for that. They
yeah,
were nice. I got good feedback.
nice,
So, yeah.
nice. Well, you know, I think people recognize when if you're dedicated to yoga, that's what people respond to at our, at least at our studio, you know, if, and it's just such a pleasure. I just want to really appreciate you all for being so dedicated. Like the fact that I get to hang out on a Saturday morning with people who are dedicating their life to yoga practice is like, I just have so much respect and admiration for all of you, so for being here and showing up and doing the work. So yeah, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege. Okay, yeah, Steph, I think uh I think we're Anna's complete. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah,
And let us know, yeah,
it's
what are
just
you
a
thinking?
good working thing to, put out ideas.
Yeah.
So my thought is transition from a dancer's perspective using the sutras. It's kind of a lot.
What do you mean by transition?
Like from life, so bringing in
Okay.
life issues, like from being single to being married. What was that
Uh-huh.
transition like? Was
Oh,
it, did it
okay.
go as
I
expected?
see. Okay, so start say that, say it again. Now that I understand. Say the
A
subject.
dancer's transition, a dancer's perspective on transition using yoga.
What
So
what about the dancer's perspective is pertinent to it?
that going from one position or posture or asana to the next and keeping your body intact, so that if you took a camera and let's say a dancer is going in the air and doing a leap and coming down, that the picture would be picture, 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 and every shot would be a picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that you wouldn't like jump from the air, be a wet noodle, and then land. And using the warrior dance as the example, like let's say going from warrior one to warrior two, the transition part is also part of the posture.
Okay. Uh, I guess my question is the way I view yoga and the way that I practice and teach yoga, that is pre-existing in yoga. I don't know how. I understand that you're saying that dance brings a special emphasis to it, but what is that special emphasis that is different from yoga? Because right, like we would want to teach yoga to where all those snapshots in between the postures are still intentional and mindful, and maybe even to play a little devil's advocate on the dancer piece is that dance is about, well, this is an assumption because I've talked to Caleb and I know that it can be much more than this. But dance oftentimes can be about the performance, and yoga is not. And if we conflate the two, we can get conflate meaning the purpose of yoga with performance and not about being a practice. All of a sudden, we've kind of overrode the meaning.
So that's a good point. So that will be like a definite bullet point, because everyone has their own perspective on dance. So in mine, it's an instrument of communication.
Mm.
And once you get to a certain point, it's totally internal. It's a 100% internal. And if you're performing, people can see that you're performing, you're not dancing, you're not
Yep.
telling a story, you're not integrating the movement with the music. It's a time when you are suspended, just like in the yoga. It's a time when you're
Yeah. I mean,
suspended.
that's what I'm hearing when you say internalized, suspended. All these things are what I'm hearing you say is what dance is to you has become to you is essentially yoga. And so now
Yeah.
going back the other way with it is tricky because you can do yoga without it being dance. And I guess there's a couple questions I have because you're talking about transitions of life and whether it's a job or whatever it might be. And so I'm really trying to get a clear idea on why, and I love that idea. I think focusing on transitions is a a brilliant idea for utilizing yoga tools and techniques to really build a practice around. I'm still having trouble seeing why dance is the tip of the pyramid and not more of like a, to me, it's almost like the first thing should be, this is going to be a yoga class. It's about transitions, and I come at it from the perspective of a dancer. But I'm hearing a different hierarchy. I'm hearing this is about dance, then transitions in yoga.
Oh, okay. So that whole dancer's perspective is like, is non-essential.
Ah,
Seriously.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
But-
yeah. All
'cause it's-
right. But I don't want to discourage that piece to be incorporated in, because I think honestly, Steph, I think it'd be really cool if you used the warrior dance as an example, but then maybe elaborated on it in a way where you challenge people to dance, or you guide them through like a little bit of a section that is less about formal yoga asana and more about internalizing free form movement, which is, you know, obviously in the dance world, we would call that maybe interpretive dance. In yoga, we call that sahaj. So are you familiar with that term?
Sahadish?
Sahaj. Sometimes it's called sahaja. Sahaj. And then, you put the A at the end, depending on how you pronounce it. But sahaj is about, and there are practices out there. Kripalu yoga is some of their more advanced practices are essentially free form yoga classes where people come together, they go to the room, and it's like, okay, we're going to start here, we're going to end in an hour, and everybody just follows their own impulse. What's called the spanda.
Okay.
Sponda is where we get the word spontaneous from. So there's a lot of avenues. I'm foreseeing you, like, is it going to be connected to music? Is it going to be connected to rhythm? Is it going to be connected to internal exploration? Is it about expression?
Well, one of
What
the
is the
other,
connecting point of
one of the
transition?
other thoughts that I had going on was, when a dancer dances, there's a story that's being danced. You're not just like flailing around. There's something that you're saying. And so there's an internal, and so that's why each dancer, the same combination, they do it differently because they internalize it differently.
Yeah.
So looking at the warrior dance and the history of the warrior, who is he? How did he become the warrior? And what does each posture represent as the dance?
That's cool. Yeah,
I
I
think,
I love that. And to me, that for all of you, I think this is really important feedback. Right now, all of your ideas are really broad, because like
right.
something like a warrior, well, in what context, how, in what subtext, in what,
Uh-huh.
to me, my brain goes a really useful way of attaching the story of the warrior to yoga is through the archetype of the warrior. But that might not, but you could also you go to the Bhagavad Gita, like I was, kind of pointing Reba to get a little bit more specificity out of things with competition. So you get to choose, but you definitely need to choose. Yeah. Where does the warrior connect to in your day to day is maybe a really great question. And yeah, I like that concept of contextualizing what is the narrative, what is the story. You could even like insert some journal questions around where do you show up as a warrior in your life, so it can be on the mat, off the mat kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I was going to lead it off with the journaling, breaking it up into a group of 3 or 4 with the journal and the like. So now everything has shifted a little bit. Like, what has been your main battle? Like, and what were you battling? Was it yourself? Was it something? Where are you the warrior in the process of right now?
So let me just suggest maybe rephrasing that question. Just simply, the one thing that kind of hangs me up is what has been your main battle. Maybe a little bit inaccessible to some people, because sometimes that main battle is so intensely personal and so
Yeah.
overwhelming that might not be a good jumping off point. So
Yeah.
it could, if you open that question up a little bit, just to be like, what is a battle that you want to think about that you're fighting to, in your life that you could work on in this context? But also, a warrior is not always about, like, the archetype of a warrior is not always just about conflict and battle. Like, the warrior
Right,
is about nobility, the warrior is about discipline, the warrior is about law and right and wrong. So you
right.
don't have to necessarily go at it from the context of a warrior.
That,
Yeah,
yeah.
warrior is also there's a lot of respect in the
Protector.
archetype,
Mm-hmm.
protector, provider, reverence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Uh-huh. What is a warrior? That would be the good bottom line
ah,
question.
yeah, how do you show up as a warrior? I would suggest looking at Carl Jung's warrior archetype and reading
Okay,
some of that stuff to get some inspiration and
I've got
ideas.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
good.
also looking
Thank
at
you.
yoga myth. So if you look at the story of oh God, Virabhadrasana, I can't say it. Virabhadra, that is what the warrior poses are named after. And
Right.
the story in the Shiva Purana about Virabhadra, I'm still saying it wrong. I can't get it right.
You're Rana.
But anyway, forgive
Yeah.
me. You'll find it. And that could be a really great way to contextualize, like, think about, like, as you start the conversation, maybe the conversation about warrior is way out here. And then you bring it into focus, and then you bring it into focus. And each time it gets more and more focused, but remember to keep it in alignment with yoga. So when it finally gets to
Mhm.
that final point, it should be both personal to them so that they have an actual tangible takeaway from the workshop, and it's specifically rooted in yoga somehow, some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
Thanks.
good question, Steph. I think that's helpful for all of us, for sure. Yeah.
So in doing that, because when you just said the warrior, to me, I got like this vision of the koshas, the outer part, and then how the warrior goes down into this too
Well,
much again.
maybe I don't know. Be careful with that. And I love that you're asking before I even, maybe it's my face. You're like, is that too much again? You know, I'm similar to you in that way where, like, I tend to um in the brainstorming process, I collect everything, but I have to give myself permission to do that. I have to be a really good editor and really get specific and focused, because
That's it.
even though that's the exciting place for my brain to be, of like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, this would be cool, and this would be cool, and this would be cool." It's not so exciting to edit it. So I kind of have to have a little self-regulation personally, because
Mhm.
that's where the dopamine is, right? Is the event, the exploration, and the coming up with the ideas. But then it takes a lot of discipline to go, but what do I really want my students to walk away from? And that's what I would
Right.
ask yourself at every point. What skill set, what if they were to say, they go home and their husband or spouse or friend is like, what did you get from the workshop? If they said it in one sentence, that actually, the answer to that needs to be at the beginning of this exploration for you.
Right.
And it might change as you explore, but you have to have something solid in the beginning to work from and work with.
Got it. Got it. I'm so glad I asked, because this is like shifted things going, like, yeah. Thank you.
Well, Pete says, "You got this. You guys got this. Good job."
That's exactly what Mike Quincy does. He just sits there and looks at me.
Oh, he's been outside barking and causing mayhem the whole time. You're
Oh,
giving me a headache.
yeah.
He just came in. So if I were to ask you, what do you want your students to take away from your workshop in one sentence? Let's just end today's session with an attempt at answering that question. And by the way, this doesn't have to be a perfect, but if you were to be pressed to answer that in one sentence, if let's go around and say what it is. So who wants to start?
Can you meet your personal battle in balance?
Can you meet? So that's not, so the question is an entry point for the start of the workshop. I'm talking about
Oh,
if I go to a workshop, what is it that I have learned? So the question is, if the
Oh.
question is, can you meet your, what was it, personal battle and balance? The answer would be yes, right?
oh,
So,
so
so
an
the answer
open-ended
is,
question.
what did you get from this workshop? I learned yoga tools to help me deal with conflict with more balance. And maybe that term balance needs to be in the yoga philosophy realm. We may want to really get specific about, do you mean peace? Do you mean sattva? Do you mean equanimity? Do you mean, you know what I mean? So like you
Yes,
really
yeah,
need to be thinking about these questions in a way where you have the answer an hour before these people's workshops start, if that makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
So basically, the question needs to begin with the how, what, when, where, why.
For you, yeah, that's how the
Okay,
workshop starts. Like what, build context, create context for why they should care. But by the end of it, they should have a very tangible thing of like when they go home and their husband's like, so what was this workshop? And they just simply say, well, uh, I got yoga tools to learn how to transition from in and out of conflict in my life. So I can go into conflict with equanimity and I can go back out of conflict with peace of mind, right? Maybe that,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I don't want you to throw, I really like the idea of transitions. I think you should hang on to that piece in there too.
Because there were some sutras that were very heavy in this, getting like into the third pada, and like the transition going into, what is it? It starts with an S, not samadhi, but the
The
as,
city,
huh?
the samyama,
Yeah, it's a place that once you've blended the last three limbs, that's that next level.
samyama. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
samyama. Mm-hmm.
So that's where I was like looking at, and I'm like, I don't know, I think I'm overthinking this a little bit, but
Well, I know I love it though. I mean, I think that you're shooting for the stars, but you definitely need to start thinking about how you can rein that in without losing it. You know,
right,
I want you all to be aspirational in your workshops, but it has to be grounded in a concrete focus. Like, yes, there's opportunity for them to get more out of the workshop, but if they only get one thing out of the workshop, what's the one
what
thing
is,
you really want them to get? Yeah.
got it,
Yeah.
got it. Okay,
Cool. All right.
thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Reba, I'm just gonna call on you next.
All
Sorry.
right, I'm gonna
Hope you're all ready.
try. I want my students to go home thinking I learned how to use yoga tools to connect to their greater purpose, regardless of if they win or lose.
Okay.
That's, I don't know. That's where I'm
No,
starting.
that's getting somewhere. Now that's really getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, I really am stuck on, and you don't have to hold on to it, but I just want to encourage you to just take at least one more pass of thoughtfulness around using yoga tools in the outcome of competition. Really thinking about how the practice guides us all the way through competition, but also how yoga philosophy really props us up in ways whether we win or lose and how it does that. I think that that's a
Oh, I
really,
like that. I like that.
yeah,
How yoga props us up in ways, whether we learn.
whether we win or lose to
Yeah.
be, yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like the specific competition aspect for it. So yeah, that's helpful. Okay. I'm gonna still workshop it because
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I need to get more specific.
Cool. And y'all let me know. Like if you ever are just like, have a random question about like, what do you think of this? You can just send me a text, by the way. I'm pretty
Okay.
easily to reach. So I'm
Great.
happy to help. Yeah, for
Appreciate it.
all of you. Ari?
I would say um to take away skills, to be more focused and present in the time we have with our kids, and to better the relationship between our children by giving them skills that they can use.
Okay, but I'm not hearing that's great. But I want you to include if it still matters to you because but based off what I heard earlier, um also utilizing yoga tools and techniques to make sure that we are finding ways to restore ourselves as parents, even when we're not in relationship with the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, for you, I mean, I think, I don't know, I think yoga nidra could be a real opportunity for your workshop. Like just a small section of it, no more than a third of your workshop. But I think most parents honestly need nervous system restoration once they actually have a break from their kids.
Yeah, just like a reset. Yeah, it could be a great way to get into it.
And usually they're so exhausted, especially when they have little ones. Like meditation's honestly for most of them too much because they're just so exhausted that yoga nidra is usually the thing. So
Yeah.
so that could be a really easy, low-hanging fruit inclusion for your workshop right there. Just to like end the whole thing with, and think about it this way, right? You're creating context, and then you're offering up an educational component, and then there's a practical component. And from the synthesis of the educational and the practical, that's the takeaway for them, right? The context is just creating entry point, container, and direction and alignment, right? And commitment to the work. And then you get into the educational component, you get into the practical component, the fusion between those two, that synergy gives them their takeaway. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it anyway. I know it's a little different than the Bloom's taxonomy, but that might be a simpler way for some people's brains.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ari. Anna?
I don't like have a good tagline or anything for it, but I guess the one key takeaway is that I want people to feel safe and empowered in whatever situation they're in, which connects back to the root chakra. Yeah. So I just want people to be able to feel like they can go back to that like feeling of when you're, I don't know.
No, I do. Can I help? Can I offer some
yeah.
So I think that for yours, don't focus too much on the outcome. Like in terms of like what the person takes away from it is like, well, now that I take this workshop, no matter what happens, I'll always be able to ground, right? Like that may not be possible in every single case, but they, from taking your workshop, now have skills to help them ground, if that makes sense. So, and thinking about grounding too, by the way, like when we talk about it in the 200 hour, remember there's kind of three components to grounding. There's the component of grounding that is the nourishing component, right? Think about a tree taking nutrients from the soil through the roots. There's the stability that grounding gives us and provides us because of the way that the winds blow and the roots make us steady so that we bend, don't break. And then the third thing too is that the roots and grounding give opportunity to discharge and to release and to let go and surrender, which is, if we were to split yoga right down the middle, this whole half is the practice. This whole half is about letting go. I mean, it is surrender, but how do we surrender? In what way did we surrender? Who do we surrender to? What is the bhav which we surrender? So I think those are really big opportunities for you in terms of the takeaway being, I went to Anna's workshop and it gave me tools in which to ground in specific ways for specific circumstances. Do I need stability? Do I need nourishment? Do I need to release? So that might, I don't know if that's leave as much as you want of that, take as much as you want of it. Hopefully it's helpful though. So
It is.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, this was such an uplifting hour. I honor you all. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Steph, have a great mind meld. We got to do the word real quick. I'm going to go backwards. Anna, word.
Oh, geez. Word.
Ari.
Yay.
Riva.
Breakfast.
Steph.
Filled.
Gratitude. Much
Nice.
love. Thank you
Thank you
all.
guys.
you.
Bye.
Have a good day.